With Pixelborn shutting down very, very soon, many Lorcana players are asking the question, will there ever be an online client for the game? And if so, when? And what would it even look like? So in this video, we're going to explore what the digital game could be like in terms of microtransactions, when we might see it released, and if it could ever surpass or replace the physical card game. The answer is no, but we'll talk about it anyways when we get there. Personally, I think it's only a matter of time before we see an official Lorcana game client. Most of the other large TCGs have one. Pokemon has Pokemon TCG Live, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has Master Duel, and Magic the Gathering has both Magic Online and Magic Arena. All of these games have wildly different monetization practices, with Pokemon's, I feel, being the most generous and player-friendly of the bunch. Now, there are TCGs out there without official digital clients, such as Flesh and Blood and One Piece, and they both seem to do very well. But personally, I think the Disney IP is just too big not to get a digital version eventually. In terms of what a digital client for Lorcana could look like, it's easy to assume that they would take inspiration from one of their competitors and create something very similar. If I had to guess which game they would most likely try to emulate, I'd put my money on Pokemon. Next to Disney, Pokemon is the other juggernaut IP in the room. Sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh!, but it's true. It reaches across generations, it has incredibly high brand recognition, and is something families can share together. In the Pokemon TCG app as it exists now, there isn't really a way to spend real-world money on anything other than cosmetics. You could go to some websites that shall remain nameless and purchase booster pack codes for the game using real money, but that isn't officially supported by the app, and chances are kids probably aren't going to be doing that. In Pokemon, you can earn new cards just by playing the game and finishing daily missions. But arguably the main way that you acquire cards is by buying physical booster packs. Inside each Pokemon TCG booster pack is a card with a code on it. Redeem the code in-game and get a nice digital booster pack of cards to open. If I had to make an educated guess, this is the same route that a hypothetical digital Lorcana client will take. We already have puzzle cards with barcodes on the back, I might add, so it's just a matter of slapping booster pack codes on the back of those puzzle pieces instead, and suddenly that pile of bulk Ursula's Return puzzle pieces are now a valuable and exciting thing. While Lorcana has a very vibrant competitive scene with older folks like myself, I can't see the game pushing microtransactions as heavily as something like Magic the Gathering, where it feels almost essential to spend money to even keep up with the insane amount of product that is constantly being released, both physically and digitally. Instead, I say Ravensburger treating the online game the same way Pokemon Company treats it, as an advertisement for the paper game and a supplemental place for you to play when you're not in the same physical space as friends. Because you can't actually spend money in the Pokemon app, at least for the most part, it means that the game is more about just playing with what you have until you get the good stuff. Yes, there are competitive ranks and cool cosmetic cards to earn, and people will just buy lots of codes so that they can make meta decks, but I think the most important aspect of the Pokemon TCG app is that it doesn't feel like a replacement for the physical card game. At least to someone like me who only plays the Pokemon trading card game casually every so often. Feel free to let me know in the comments how wrong I am. So yeah, that's how I see a Lorcana digital app existing. But when could we possibly see such a thing? Well, it's complicated. If you're hoping for a digital client to be announced or released anytime soon, I'd think again. As someone coming from a games industry background and who knows many folks in game development as well, it takes a long time to create something like this. If we were going to see a Lorcana app in the next year, it would have to have started production at bare minimum around when the first chapter was released back in August of 2023. If development started around then, that means that bare minimum, if everything went according to plan, we probably wouldn't see a downloadable app until 2025. However, what's more likely is that app development for Lorcana probably only started very, very recently after Ravensburger realized that they had a hit, which means that at bare minimum, we won't see an app for about 2 years, maybe even 3. Not only does it take time to make a game, Ravensburger is a board game company and does not have the resources to create said digital client, which means that they likely have to license development out to a studio. There's been some speculation that the company Second Dinner, developers of the digital card game Marvel Snap, are currently staffing up to create one for Ravensburger. This speculation comes from a job posting that doesn't outright say it's Disney-related, but says that it's, quote, one of the largest IP in the world. I wouldn't be surprised if Second Dinner is actually making the digital client for Lorcana. Marvel Snap, a Disney-owned IP, is a very successful card game. I could definitely see a world where they are the studio that makes this digital client a reality. Unfortunately, the job posting also mentions that they are currently spinning up the project, which means that it's very early in development. So, yeah, I don't think there's a chance we see a digital client for Lorcana anytime soon. Maybe in like 2027, but personally I hope sooner rather than later. As for whether or not a digital client will kill the game on paper, the answer is no. Pixelborn existed and my local events still had great turnouts. In fact, I've met a lot of people in my local scene that either have never played on Pixelborn or frankly have no idea what it even is. Even with that, Lorcana thrives. Pokemon and Magic both have digital clients, and they still sell a boatload of physical cards every year. Stores in my area run events for both games regularly, and if anything, the digital versions only incentivize people to get paper versions to play with their friends. No matter how good the digital client is, it will never replace the feeling of playing the paper game with your friends. Sitting across the table, seeing the art of the cards in person, trading physical game pieces, and playing pack battles. The social experience of TCGs is one of the genre's greatest assets, and I don't think the desire to meet up for tournaments and events will ever go away, regardless of whether there's a digital client or not. Thank you for watching this long. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the Sorcerer's Hat and hit the bell button to be notified when I release more Lorcana content. Love you all. Bye bye.